If you work in tech or are aiming to work in tech and you're getting no responses to your CV/resume, depending on which part of the world you're from, you need to check this out. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Isak and I do a lot in the career coaching for tech people space. I'm a software developer, career coach, tech mentor, and I do a hell of a lot in helping people from boot camps and career changes find their first or second job in tech. I do a lot of content in tech in general. Now this is part one of a multi-part series called the CV series, primarily aimed at entry-level to junior talent in tech, trying to find your first or second job. However, there's going to be a lot of content for mid to senior level developers to put on their CVs as well. So once you're finished with this part, make sure you check out the other parts of the series to be able to craft a bad, can you say that word? A bad mofo CV. So what we are talking about is 9 things to leave off your CV or what to not have on your CV to make sure you get invited to the next stage of interview, because that's what it's all about. Your CV is there primarily just to get you to the next stage. It's not a big thing. It doesn't have to be a scary thing. The recruiter is going to look at it for about 8 to 10 seconds and they're going to decide whether you're relevant for the job that you're applying to. So let's get to it. Part 1 of things to not have on your CV starts with a profile picture. And I know what you're thinking. It's not a dating CV. Why would I have a profile picture on it? You'd be surprised at how many people do. Now what this does is it allows you to open yourself up to unconscious bias. Now unconscious bias is this thing that people do subliminally, and we're probably all guilty for it at some point, where we judge somebody because of how they look. That could be their skin color, they wear glasses, could be a beard or lack of a beard, and you make a judgment on them based off of that. Now when you have a profile picture on your CV, you do open yourself up to that, and we're trying to stop that. This doesn't matter what you look like, it's about your skills for the job. Now on the other side of things, the person could really like the way you look, which again is not a good thing, so you need to be very careful with this. It distracts away from what you really need to show at this stage. It's irrelevant information. You don't need a profile picture on your CV. Number 2, your address. Now, unless they are sending you a pizza or a present, they don't need your full address on your CV. Your address only becomes relevant when you get to offer stage, and obviously they need it for the documentation. For now, just for your CV or /resume, I'm going to keep doing that. You can just put your area. So say for example in the UK, if you're from Manchester, Sheffield, Birmingham, London, you can just use that. However, if you're in America, for example, the USA, if you're say for example from New York, you could use Brooklyn or you could just use NY. You don't need to put your full address. Number 3, age. Believe it or not, it used to be an old school concept, so people used to put their date of birth on a CV. I don't know why you don't need to do that anymore. It opens you up to ageism, especially in tech. Ageism is quite a big thing you want to keep yourself away from. You don't need to put your age. I'm sure when you get to interview, when they invite you to interview, they're going to obviously see how old you are, or they're going to get the documentation of you once they request that, and at that point it doesn't matter because they know you're brilliant and they're going to give you the job anyway. Number 4, references. Believe it or not, another old school thing where people used to put references on their CV. Now again, at this point it's just an initial stage that all they're going to be doing is looking at it to see if you're relevant for the job you're applying to. When they want references, they will reach out to you and ask you for them, so have them ready, but you don't need to put them on your CV. Number 5, I feel like I should never have to say, but it's something I always have to go over, and that's grammar. Bad grammar does not belong on a CV. Bad grammar, it just comes across as lazy, as harsh as it is to say, it really does. Now one of the things that I often do when people reach out to me for CV review sessions or coaching sessions is I send them off. I say to them, before you send your CV to me, because I'm going to obviously charge you for this, send it to your friends and family, or run it through Grammarly and get the grammar checked first, because it's a waste of both of our time if I'm just giving you advice on grammar when I should be going and focusing on the real aspects of your CV, which are going to get picked up and get you the job. So bad grammar, no. Now number 6 is actually a big one if you're coming from a boot camp or a career change. It's your career history. Now a lot of people tend to think that they need to list everything that they've ever done. This is more relevant for people in the USA because they're more strict about career gaps or what you've done in your career history. But as a general rule of thumb, what I often say for career changes or post boot camp people is put your most recent 2 jobs and then use a paragraph to summarize everything else in a time format. So for example, 2012 to 2019 I worked as so and so, so and so, and so and so, and use that to summarize what you did in that time. Now the reason being is obviously when you're coming through a career change, a lot of what you did previously was not very relevant to what you're going to be doing going forwards. If you are more senior or mid-level and you've already had 2 to 3 tech jobs, then obviously you can list all of them. You don't need to keep the most recent 2 and summarize the rest. If you have experience in tech jobs, keep all of your tech jobs as jobs in your work experience. That's fine. Number 7, color. Color does not belong on a CV. In fact, I'm going to coin this phrase: color belongs in your TV, not your CV. It doesn't really work with resume. Color belongs on your TV, not your resume. doesn't have the same vibe to it. Color and fancy layouts distract away from getting the information that they vitally need to see in 8 to 10 seconds. Don't go for fancy layouts, and especially don't go for color, because it makes it harder to abstract the information that they need to see. When they're going through your CV/resume, they're looking for the vitally important information that makes them see that you're the right person for this job, and they want to invite you to the next stage of the interview. Doing things like bad layouts or fancy layouts, adding color blocks, etc., makes it harder for them to see that information is very distracting. Leave it out. It's just not worth it. Remember, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. The best acronym when it comes to CV/resume building. Number 8 is actually kind of a crazy one. Salary expectations. Now, what you are actually doing here is boxing yourself into something where you could actually negotiate a higher salary. Why would you say your salary expectations are 60 to 80,000 when you don't really know what they're going to offer you at the end? Get to the offer stage, and when they offer you, you are more open to negotiation if you've not already given estimation. Now, if they ask you what are your expected salaries expectations for this job, you can ask them, what do you normally pay for somebody with my experience at this range, and they will often tell you. Then you can say, yeah, I'm looking for about that much. Then when it comes to offer stage, you can say, yeah, so you know, you obviously love me, I want so and so. But if you've already boxed yourself in, they could obviously undercut you because you've already undervalued yourself, or they could just throw away your CV thinking this person's too expensive for us, without even seeing that you're a perfect fit for the company. And quite often, if you are a perfect fit, they may find some extra budget for you, but you won't know if you've already cancelled yourself out. Number 9 is a super simple one. Hobbies. Now, if you're like me, you probably have 0 hobbies, 0 friends, and 0 outside time, so it doesn't make for a very interesting paragraph anyway. But if you are not like me, which I hope you're not, if you're more super cool and relevant, and maybe you have a cool hobby, like maybe you play Quidditch on the weekend, you go paragliding, you do archery, you ride a horse, put that down, because that's really cool, and quite often it opens up the conversation and you can have a great time talking about what you do. If you don't have many hobbies like myself, maybe you just sit down on a Saturday night, eat Doritos and watch Friends. That's cool too. I like it, but maybe you don't need to put that down. Now, this, as I mentioned, was part 1 of the CV series, so make sure you do go check out the rest of the CV series to make sure you can craft an awesome tech CV. To summarize, what we talked over today was the main things to leave off your CV. I also find it's a great place to start because then it leaves you with the information that is actually needed on a CV. So we obviously covered having a profile picture, we covered address, we covered age, we covered references, we covered grammar, we covered career history, we covered color. Remember, colors for your TV, not for your CV. Very funny. Salary expectations, and hobbies. So make sure that you get those 9 things correct, and in other parts, the next part of the CV series, we're going to cover what you should put on your CV, and there's also going to be a lot more to come. So please like, subscribe, check it out, share it, and let me know what you think. Maybe you disagree with some of my points, or maybe you agree with them. Let me know.